So JACA put the fate of the Super Sentai series on thin ice due to its failed retoolings and low ratings, so the franchise took a couple years off while Toei focused on other Henshin hero shows. This would lead to co-creator Shotaro Ishinomori being no longer involved with future projects going forward, as opposed to Kamen Rider, which he looked over and helped with till the end of his life. As for the other shows Toei made, one of them was a collaboration with famous American comics company Marvel, who entered a 3-year deal to co-produce tokusatsu series starting with Toei Spider-Man. I love this show for a lot of reasons, but most importantly, it was a success at the time, and along with Daishechujin 1-7, helped popularize giant robots as the centerpiece of a tokusatsu toy line. What the Henshin belts were to Kamen Rider, the mecha would be to Spider-Man as the big ticket item every kid wanted to have. So naturally, with Spider-Man being a success, why not give this treatment to another Marvel hero, Captain America? When conceiving of the show, there was a pitch that a new counterpart to the hero called Captain Japan would be the star, but for whatever reason, Toei and Marvel decided to tweak the pitch to make it a Sentai based on nationalities from all over the world, giving us Battle Fever J, with the J presumably standing for Japan, implying there's battle fevers all over the globe. After all that fascinating history and production of what went into making Sentai's big comeback, I'm sorry to say I didn't really like Battle Fever J that much. The theming of various countries wasn't used to its full advantage outside of the typical unity among people the core Sentai formula provides, and I found the episode plots were mostly forgettable with a couple standouts, but even then, the core Battle Fever team just didn't leave much of an impact on me. I did like both users of the Battle Cossack persona, with the first one being underdeveloped but charming with a memorable exit to the show in one of its best episodes, and the second one being a cool solo riding cowboy. However, my favorite character in the show was Battle Kenya, a wild animal-loving food enthusiast who was one of the first major tokusatsu roles by Kenji Oba, who would appear in many Toei tokusatsu series to come. This guy is a legend within the 80s tokusatsu sphere, and we're gonna be seeing him again very soon. Ultimately, I don't really feel anything for Battle Fever J as a show, as I found it quite boring, but I can't deny how important it is for the Super Sentai legacy, as it started a continuous run we still see to this day with no major hiatuses in between, along with the introduction of giant robot battles to the formula, which would prove to be big money pushers for the toy line, which is probably why Sentai is still legging out even in the tougher financial years. Ultimately, I'd call Battle Fever J more of a historical curiosity than a fun show to go back to. After Battle Fever J, Marvel and Toei stopped seriously communicating, though Marvel's copyrights did transfer over to the next two Sentai series we're talking about, despite Marvel people having little to no creative input on those shows. If I had to make an educated guess of why this is, I just assume it's Marvel riding out the 3-year contract deal they already made with Toei. Anyway, now we're gonna talk about Denshi Sentai Denjiman. 3,000 years ago, the villainous Vader clan destroyed the Denji star, wiping out the citizens on it. In 1980, when the Vader clan approached Earth, a Denzi dog named IC called upon 5 talented Earthlings of various professions to become the Denjiman. This is one of the first Super Sentai series to not just have a more science fiction edge to its proceedings, but to have seemingly regular dudes become the heroes instead of trained military professionals. The heroes even teach classes to kids about their main skills throughout the series, which gives this team an extra empathetic humanitarian edge that's consistent throughout the show. The heroes do fill out the archetypes you expect from their color by this point, with the standout being once again Kenji Oba's character, Daigoro, this time playing Denji Blue. He shares a lot in common with Battle Kenya, like his wild fighting style and love for food, specifically Appon in this show, but between the growth of Kenji as a performer and the more entertainingly crazy concepts the show will throw at him episode to episode, I think Denji Blue has a stronger presence compared to Battle Kenya. This character is so fun that there's a point before the finale where they just give him multiple silly but fun focus episodes in a row. Definitely one of my favorite Blue Rangers in the franchise. The Vader clan are also unique for the time, as a lot of the recurring generals are actors in costumes as opposed to full-body monster suits. The Vader clan are mostly enjoyably hammy throughout the show, but towards the end they do get some pathos out of each other, even if they are still villains at the end of the day. Overall, Denjiman has a lot to love about it. It started to sprinkle in elements of story serialization with its world building, but the important stuff for a Sentai, such as the episodic plots, were still really strong to keep me watching. If you're looking for a fun, old-school Monster of the Week show, Denjiman's a great option for that. At least watch some of Daigoro's focus episodes to see why Kenji Oba is such a legend of tokusatsu. As for the final show of the Marvel trilogy, we have Taiyo Sentai's son Vulcan, which goes back to the military theming of GoRanger and JACA, presumably to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the franchise. This is the first Super Sentai series to start with 3 members as opposed to 5, and currently the only all-boys one, a concept I kinda hate. You could argue that GoRanger helped innovate on diverse character types for superhero shows in Japan, both in personality and gender, genders, so it kinda sucks that all our heroes are just plain dudes, especially for a season that's supposed to be a revisit of Go Rangers ideas. It doesn't help that I found the heroes pretty forgettable outside of like one episode where we learn about Volshark's tragic backstory and he gets some badass solo moments, but that's about all I know to have picked up on in terms of characterization. Initially, Sun Vulcan was pitched as a second season to Denjiman, but that idea got scrapped pretty quickly, with the remnants coming in of one of the returning villains from the Vader clan, who is mostly just here to give the legendary Machiko Soga a more deserved spotlight. I don't really care about the show being a half-hearted sequel to Denjiman because it was clearly an afterthought, but I do care that Sun Vulcan is just a tired and boring series, especially coming off the super fun Denjiman. It loses so much of the appeal of previous Sentai series, which is doubly damning for an anniversary season. It does have some good designs, I will admit, but it's an overall lackluster end to this unintentional trilogy of Sentai shows. However, despite the limited involvement from Marvel on the last two shows, something about Sun Vulcan spoke to Stan Lee and his man in Japan, Gene Pelk, so they wanted to make a localized version of the show for American audiences. The plan was going to be a straight dub of the show, but Gene even spoke about doing a re-edit of the series to remove all the Japanese actors and shoot new footage with American actors, the latter of which would be done later in 1993 by another company, but that's a story for another day. Overall, while the Marvel years aren't my favorite era for Super Sentai, they were important in establishing new tropes and ideas that would get expanded on later, but most importantly, it established a consistency that we still see today in terms of weekly television production. Yeah, I might have only liked one of the three shows, but hey, Denjiman's still really good, and I got that earworm of a theme song stuck in my head now. Besides, not everyone's gonna bat 100 all the time, especially early on. These were necessary, if a bit awkward steps into the greatness we'll see later.